What will you do when life gets hard? Will you run from it or will you stay and try to overcome it?
Just don't be afraid of the future. Go out into the unknown and try.
Nobody should have to feel like they're not wanted for something that they can't control.
It's like I am embracing my inner self.
It's about building something that you're going to eventually look back on and be proud of.
These are bonds that can never be broken. I'm never going to forget these moments. It's a beautiful thing.
Welcome to the first ever Special Olympics Kansas Unified Champion Schools Virtual Youth Summit. My name is Catherine Steinman.
Hi, my name is Gracie Flanagan Catherine, and I are Special Olympics experiments. Welcome to the first ever Special Olympics for Kansas Unified Summit.
Today we have several presenters who will bring you information on inclusive youth leadership along with some fun yoga with Zen Inclusive Health and a Q&A with Denver Broncos player and Special Olympics North America Ambassador Dalton Reisner. Inclusive youth leadership provides opportunities for students to collaborate in a variety of ways to serve as leaders on their teams and in their schools. We can't wait to grow as leaders with you.
Let's get this party started. Woo!
And this is Calissa. Calissa and I are the YAC social media chairwomen. We are excited to tell you all about Unified Champion Schools.
This goal of Unified Champion Schools is to create school climates where students with disabilities feel welcome and are routinely included in all activities, opportunities, and functions. This is done by bringing youth with and without intellectual disabilities together through education and sports to create school communities of acceptance and respect.
Unified Champion Schools are most successful when they can implement all three components, the three components of unified sports, whole school engagement, and inclusive youth leadership. Today you will learn about inclusive youth leadership and how to be an inclusive leader.
Before we learn about inclusive youth leadership, we will tell you a little about the other two components. Unified sports is where students with and without disabilities get to play sports together on the same playing field. My favorite unified sport is soccer and basketball.
Full school engagement is awareness and education activities that promote inclusion and reach the majority of school populations. This year, Calissa and I are so excited to host the Spread the Word Inclusion campaign at our school and plan to make a whole week of it. We hope that spreading the message will continue to improve our inclusive school culture.
Next up, we have Addison and Katie for an introduction of inclusive youth leadership.
My name is Katie Morrison.
And my name is Addison Wolcott, and we are the YAC Vice Chairwomen.
So Addison, what is inclusive youth leadership?
Inclusive youth leadership is when all students of eligibilities are given opportunities to be leaders in their schools and communities. These leaders' activities help students find their voices and teach them to become a part of a change in their community by promoting equality and acceptance. Katie, do you have a time or example that we led inclusively?
We led in YAC. We worked together as a group toward a goal. In this youth summit, we all did our part to film different protocols of the summit, and we even came up with fun questions to ask Dalton. He is a football player. You might know him. Meet him soon.
Next up is our first guest speakers. We hope you enjoy it.
The Kansas State Stalley School of Leadership provides students with academic knowledge and hands-on learning experiences that advance their mission of developing knowledgeable, ethical, caring, and inclusive leaders for a diverse and changing world.
Today we have 6 students all minoring in leadership studies to give us a presentation on inclusive. Those students are Nathan Peak, Kaylee Hansen, Eden Roxerman, Abby White, Melissa Lux, and Austin Drake.
Go Cats!
Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. My name is Austin Drake and I'm a Staley School Ambassador at Kansas State University. Some of my fellow ambassadors and I have decided to help you learn a little bit more about inclusive leadership by making this video for you. As ambassadors, our main mission is to promote and recruit students to our program. However, we also have an objective to educate people about the importance of leadership and how to incorporate leadership concepts into day-to-day activities. One of the most important things to realize about leadership is that it is an activity, not a position. This means that anyone and everyone has the capability of being a leader. So for today, we are going to give you an inside scoop on inclusive leadership. We will start with Marissa, who is going to tell you exactly what inclusive leadership is. Next, Kaylee and Eden will share their own personal experiences with inclusive leadership. Then, Nathan will talk to you guys about how to be an inclusive leader. And finally, we will wrap up the video with Abby, who will bring it in with the closing. And with that, I'll hand it over to Marissa.
Hi everyone, my name is Marissa Lux and I am a junior here at K-State and I am an ambassador for the Staley School of Leadership. And before we get started, I just wanted to give a definition of how I define what inclusive leadership is, as well as how the Staley School of Leadership defines it too, so that you know what it means. So first we'll break it up into the two words. We'll start with inclusive. So inclusive comes from include, and to include means that you are recognizing someone as a whole, and by that I mean you recognize all parts and all aspects of who they are, their character, what they think, how they think, their opinions, where they're from, their family background, and all of the details that make us uniquely us. And so by that, including just means knowing someone as a whole, and including also means allowing everyone to speak and be a part of the conversation or a part of the task or whatever you're doing. Including others, just make sure that everyone is involved in the process. And then leadership can be done by an organization, a group, or an individual. And that means you are guiding individuals or inspiring individuals to a common goal, or just in the future, you're just guiding them to future tasks and helping them to do what they want to do and accomplish things. And so if you put those things together, that's inclusive leadership. And so inclusive leading is when you are a leader, you are actively seeking out others and wanting to know their opinions and asking what they want to do and asking what they think could allow more progress to be made. I found a quote about inclusive leadership, and it goes, "Inclusive leaders are those who are aware of their own self, leaders who actively seek out and consider different views and perspectives to inform better decision making." So being an inclusive leader is so cool because you are able to lead and inspire others, but at the same time asking others for help and asking them to be a part of the leadership journey. So today I'm going to have some other leadership ambassadors share their personal stories of how they've been an inclusive leader and how they have seen inclusive leadership work in their daily lives. And then we will share a little bit about how you can be an inclusive leader too. Because if everyone's an inclusive leader, then we will reach our goals faster and it will be a fun process to all work together and make sure we include everyone. So you can continue to watch our personal stories about inclusive leadership. Bye!
K-State and the Leadership Studies program has opened my eyes and shown me what life is like when you become an inclusive leader. I grew up in a conservative farming community where there was little to no diversity and differences were not always celebrated. Coming to K-State, I found my professional career passions to be working in a nonprofit to implement the change I want to see in the world. I'm currently studying organizational management with a focus in nonprofit, and I have come to learn and love the fact that nonprofits are centered around inclusive leadership. My goal is to become a manager where I can help those in need and love on the lost. In order for me to be the inclusive leader that I want to see in the workplace, I must be committed to others, especially those who are different than me. I must be curious, want to learn from others, intentionally listen to people, collaborate in diverse cultures, and love on my community and world in any way I can. I now know that differences are to be celebrated daily, and they make the world turn. I came to K-State in search of a career option, but once I found leadership studies, I realized I need to shift my perspective and see this world through the lens of an inclusive leader. I now am at K-State to become the best version of myself, professionally and personally, so that I can lead others in the most inclusive, caring, and thoughtful way for the rest of my life.
Hello. K-State and the Staley School of Leadership has opened my eyes as to what it means to be an inclusive leader. When I was a freshman in college, I joined the Global Citizens CAT community. That community took us on a trip to Puebla, Mexico in March, right before the coronavirus pandemic. Before I had gone to Puebla, I had never truly immersed myself in a different culture than my own. Before we went, we did lots of training to learn how to get the most out of our experience and to learn more about the culture that we were going into. In Puebla, I was able to make friends with students that go to university there and are just the same age as me. I had a host family that I had dinner with and got to hang out with, and I had a buddy that took me around the city and taught me about her life in Puebla. This experience and the reflection that I had taught me that it is so important to open my eyes to new cultures and new ways of life, not with a judgmental eye, but just yearning to learn more. I was nervous when I was going to Puebla because I hadn't really been out of America before, and I was a little nervous to go into a new culture where I knew the language but not very well, and be able to communicate and be in a place I had never been before. But it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life because it gave me the urge to travel more, to make myself uncomfortable in new situations and be around new cultures, because that's truly how we make progress, is to be able to understand each other, empathize with each other, and celebrate each other's differences. I would encourage you to get out of your comfort zone, whether that's here in town or going somewhere else and opening your eyes to a new culture, a new way of life, or a new way of seeing things. Those conversations help us grow and help us become more inclusive leaders.
Hi everyone, my name is Nathan and I wanted to talk to you about ways to be an inclusive leader. When I think of being an inclusive leader, the first thing that comes to mind is stepping into each situation with an open mind. And when I say stepping into each situation with an open mind, I don't mean not being passionate about your own thoughts or ideas, but I mean being willing to accept that other people's thoughts and ideas may differ from your own, and also being willing to not make judgments about these ideas before you have heard the other person's story and done your best to fully understand it. When you step into each situation with an open mind, it shows the people around you that you care about the work that is being done, and that you also want what is best for everyone involved rather than what is just best for you. Another way to practice inclusive leadership is by asking questions. As inclusive leaders, we must be willing to accept that we do not have all the answers. But by asking questions, we can better understand thoughts, processes, and ideas that we may not have fully considered, and it can create a completely different outlook for us. We must also be willing to ask questions to create a more welcoming environment for others. If you are unsure of how to pronounce somebody's name, or if you are addressing them in a way that they would like to be addressed, you must be willing to ask these questions. By asking this question and getting the correct answer, you are creating an environment that not only asks questions, but also promotes discussion. One statement that always comes to mind when I think about this is that you can't read minds, but you can make the space for discussion to happen. Recognizing your unconscious bias is another way to be an inclusive leader. We all have assumptions, and it isn't wrong or bad. It's actually just how people fast track understanding. But when you are unaware of these unconscious biases are when problems can arise. We must be willing to hold ourselves accountable and acknowledge these unconscious biases. And by doing this, we are creating a more welcoming and inclusive environment for others. Inclusive leaders also do their best in every situation to actively listen. And when I say actively listen, I don't mean letting it go in one ear and out the other, or listening just to think about how you're going to respond to the person or what question you're going to ask them next. When I say actively listening, I mean listening to understand, listening to fully understand what challenges the person is facing, how they are responding to them, and how you can support them in any way. When we actively listen, it allows for much deeper connections with the people we are involved with. And it also allows for opportunities in relationship building and overall progress. Lastly, and what I believe may be the most important way to be an inclusive leader is to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable can be terrifying. It takes a whole lot of courage to be willing to share how you're feeling or the thoughts that are going on in your head without knowing how others are going to respond to it. But when you are willing to be vulnerable, it shows others that it's okay to share your thoughts, to share your feelings, to share your concerns. And it creates an overall environment of discussion, but not just normal discussion, careful discussion that considers the thoughts and feelings of everybody involved.
Hi, my name is Abby White, and I'm a junior at Kansas State University and a Staley School of Leadership ambassador. Thank you for listening to us talk about why the Staley School of Leadership Studies is so important to us and why inclusive leadership is vital in our world, as well as what one can do to become a better inclusive leader. Here at the Staley School, we all strive for positive change, as well as creating leaders for a world that is constantly changing. Being a leader is different for everyone. For you, it might be standing in front of your class or being a line leader, or it could be staying in the background, making sure that everyone's voices are heard. Being a leader is not something that you are born to be. It is something that you become. You don't need to wait to become an inclusive leader. You can take what you've learned from this video and the experiences that have been shared and start today.
Hey everybody, my name's Kim and I'm the advisor for the Staley School of Leadership Studies ambassadors, who are some of the folks you just met. I really love the advice that they gave about practicing inclusive leadership, and I hope that you can take some of their tips and incorporate them into your daily life. Remember, whether you're with friends, classmates, teachers, or your family, you can become a better inclusive leader by working in some of those tips that they shared. So, from the Kansas State University, Staley School of Leadership Studies, thanks so much for watching, and go Cats!
For more than just a professional football player, Dalton has always had a passion for helping others and making them smile. Raised in a small town of Wiggins, Colorado, his work on the family farm and involvement in the lives of friends and neighbors molded Dalton into who he is today.
The hard work paid off as Reisner committed to Kansas State, where he would start in all 50 games during his 5-year career at the Big 12 school, ending his senior year being voted Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year. Dalton is coming off an impressive rookie year with the Denver Broncos, having started all 16 games with the team and earning all rookie team honors from numerous publications.
Even as a highly decorated player, Dalton is better known for his work off the field, through Special Olympics as a Special Olympics champion ambassador. I am so excited to introduce Dalton in a Q&A about leadership.
Why did you want to become a leader in the Special Olympics inclusive movement?
It's a really good question, man. For everyone that doesn't know very much about me, I'm Dalton Reisner. I'm from Wiggins, Colorado, a 1A school, 17 guys, my football team growing up, 800 people in my whole town. I was raised on the farm with a big dream to play football. But above that, I loved people. And I loved people no matter what they look like, what they talked like, color, shape, size, anything like that. I've always loved people. And when I got into college, kind of started to figure out who Dalton Reisner was and the impact I want to make in this world when I was at Kansas State. And I remember my first experience with Special Olympics, and it was with Manhattan Special Olympics. And there was this man by the name of Michael Carpenter. And I played a baseball game with him, and I thought I was going to go that day, a part of my leadership class with Kansas State, to pair with Manhattan Special Olympics for me to make an impact. But Manhattan Special Olympics ended up having the huge impact on me, changed my life, and opened my eyes to a whole new world, a whole new person that I feel like I could be. And ever since then, I've wanted to be more and more involved with Special Olympics and with being a leader, being inclusive, all those things that you mentioned.
What qualities do you think make a great leader?
What qualities do I think make a great leader? I would say one of the biggest qualities, Matan, would be that great leaders always have to be a follower at some point. And the great leaders have to realize that you can't lead at all times. That's never going to be a leader. Every great leader has been a follower at times, and they know when to follow. You look at great leaders in this world, and in my world, I think about football sometimes. So I think about the Tom Brady's of the world. I think about the Peyton Mannings, and they don't lead every single day. They're not the sole leader. Some days they say, I see this other leader emerging. I'm going to let him lead today. I'm going to be a follower today. I might lead by example, but I'm going to listen to this other guy. I'm going to give him an opportunity to lead, because a huge downfall to some leaders is they feel like they have to be the leader each and every day, and they have to be in control and power all the time. So I'd say the biggest, thing that has to do with leadership that I think is a good trait is being a follower at times, and knowing when to lead and knowing when to follow.
What advice would you give young people trying to learn or learn how to become a leader?
That's a really good question. I appreciate that. You got a lot of red on, but I still like you. I'm a big orange and blue guy, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm just kidding with you. I love it. I like the unified. It's for Special Olympics, not the Chiefs. So we're doing okay. All right. We're doing good. If I had any advice for someone that was younger, emerging to be a leader, and that wanted to be a leader, one of the things I'd want to recommend is what I just told Matan, right? Knowing when to lead and knowing when to follow. Two, I would say that when you're becoming a leader and wanting to become one, is that you have to realize that everyone is led differently. So if you're leading in unified sports, right? One of your unified friends, part of your team, one of your teammates, they might need led by you calling them out in front of the whole team and saying, hey, I need you to run a little bit faster in front of everybody. And they might appreciate that. But the next person next to you might say, I don't want to be called out in front of everybody. I would have liked for you to bring me aside after practice and tell me exactly what you think I need to be doing better. So I think those two things are huge, is that everyone wants to be led differently. For me, I like to be called out in front of everybody, because do I necessarily like it? No, but it makes me want to go so much harder, because then I feel like all the eyes are on me. I feel like I let my teammates down. So I love when coaches call me out in front of everybody. It drives me to go a lot harder. And I think that's probably one of the most important things whenever you're trying to become a leader. And two, I would say leading by example is huge. No one wants to follow somebody. Say you're in practice. What's a sport that you play? Do you play any sports, or what's something you like to do?
I for Washington Rule, different now, but I've done basketball and soccer.
Okay, so for basketball, for example, right? Say you're telling all of your teammates, you got to get down the floor. We got to set up our defense and get down the floor. And you tell them that, but when the second or third quarter hits or fourth quarter, you're jogging down the court and you're the last one down and you're not getting set up on defense. I know it seems simple, but no one's going to want to follow you because they're going to say, she's telling me to do something that she's not even doing herself. So being authentic and being a leader that leads by example and knows that if you're telling someone else, you got to be making sure you do it yourself. I'd say all that stuff. I could talk forever about it, but those are the most important.
What leadership skills that you have learned from football have been the most useful to you in your day-to-day life?
Oh, that's a great question. The sport of football, for all you guys that are listening, for everyone, is that, it has taught me so much. You get up and you're playing good football and you're winning football games, and then you might get injured and you might go down for a couple weeks and you have to battle back and figure out why that's going on. You might put in so much effort and prepare exactly the way you're supposed to, and you still might lose by 30 points. And the crazy part about it is that that's life, and all you guys know that. Sometimes we can prepare and work so hard, but we're still going to fail. So when it comes to leadership, that's the word I'd like to focus on for this question, is that being a part of football and being a leader within football, I've learned how failing is. I've had teammates tell me I'm not a good enough leader at times. I've felt like I'm not a good enough leader, and that's through failure. That's through doing things that I wasn't supposed to, maybe not leading by example at all times. Maybe, I was leading everyone the same, or I wanted to be leading every single day. I learned all this through failure, and that transfers into everyday life. When you come home and you might not be in a football setting, but you could still be a leader. You can be a leader to your wife, to your girlfriend, to your brothers and sisters, mom and dad, whoever it is. And I take all those traits back home. I come back and I say, I need to lead by example in this household. I need to make sure that I'm showing my family the type of man I am by the examples and actions that I lead by. So I think it transfers very, 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 very good hand in hand from the football field to real life.
Okay, did you consider yourself a leader before you got involved with Special Olympics, or did it shape you into the leader you are now?
Oh man, great question. I'd say that when I first got involved with Special Olympics, I first started taking my first leadership class. Not that I had to take leadership classes to become a great leader, but I would say I was an emerging leader. But when I got involved with Special Olympics, I became a leader and I grew on those leadership skills. In high school, I was always very social. I never knew a stranger. I loved to meet new people. I loved to, lead my friends and be the hoorah guy. But I didn't know what it was like to lead when times were tough. I didn't know what it was like to lead when all odds were against you. I didn't know how to lead other people in different ways. And just being a part of Special Olympics, especially the unified schools and everything you guys have going on with that, and just being around, Special Olympic basketball, Special Olympic football, volleyball, all that fun stuff. I've learned so much from Special Olympians and the Special Olympics organization. That's helped me become a much better leader and have my eyes way more wide open to leading in different ways. And that's where I've learned it all. So I'd say when I joined Special Olympics and got more involved with it, I'd say that's truly when I became the leader I wanted to be.
What are some sacrifices that you have had to make to be where you are today, and were they worth it?
I couldn't tell you how important those sacrifices were and where they got me where I'm at today. I'm a part of the Denver Broncos. I was a small farm town kid from a 1A school. I'd go up there to the Denver Broncos games. I'd have my 2 chicken tender baskets, a couple Cokes, watching the Broncos, just a little chubby kid that would have done anything to be a part of the Denver Broncos. And I thought they were superheroes. And, I'm doing that now. And a lot of people look me down on that field. And I don't know if they look at me like that. I don't know if they're eating chicken tenders, what they're doing. But I know that there's some kids out there that look up to me. And that's a dream come true, man. And some of the sacrifices that I had to make were, my dad told me something early on. He said, my dad was big on asking us what we wanted to do and what our motives were. And I said, Dad, I want to go play Division I football, and I want to play in the NFL someday. And he said, well, biggest thing you need to know is that you can't do what everyone else is doing and get there. No one has ever went to play Division I football, let alone the NFL, from this small town. And if you do what everyone else is doing, you're going to be average, and average isn't good enough. So starting in 8th grade, y'all, I started going to 10 camps a summer. And my friends were at the lake. my friends were hanging out, enjoying themselves, enjoying their summer. I would leave. My parents couldn't even go on some of these trips, and I'd be gone for 2 weeks, going from camp to camp, getting in front of coaches and learning technique and getting better. It took sacrifice during the year because I wanted to make sure I had a 4.0. I got a 4.0 and was valedictorian. It was a small school, so not that big of a deal, but that was a big sacrifice that I took, making sure I did my schoolwork. I showed up to class on time. And I'd say that, one of the biggest sacrifices is just how serious I took the sport. I was going to stay after practice. I was going to get there before practice. I was going to care a lot. It wasn't just a high school football game to me. It wasn't just a college football game to me. It was a career game for me, setting myself up to be where I'm at today. And it hasn't gotten any easier, Gabe. Playing in the NFL now, more eyes are on me now than ever. And every mistake I make, the world knows about. Social media. You're either getting eaten alive or people are loving you up. So, that's my job now. A lot of people get to go to work and they don't have to get on Twitter and see how bad of a day they had at work. But for me, it's not the case. But it's still a dream come true for me. So, yes.
So I asked if there were any quotes or words that kind of inspired you in wanting to be a leadership person or that changed your life in a way.
Oh, that's awesome. I could probably come up with, a lot, but I'd say that one of my favorite ones right here, and this one's huge, is, a man is not measured by where he stands in times of comfort and I don't know the other word, comfort and convenience. The measure of a man is not measured where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but yet it's measured in the times where he stands in times of trial and tribulation. So, it's hard to remember the whole thing, but all I remember from that is pretty much who you are as a person. Everyone's going to be fine when things are good, just like a leader. When things are great and it's comfortable and it's convenient for you. And for me, for example, if I'm winning football games and everyone's saying I'm a good football player, of course I'm going to be nice to everybody. Of course I'm going to be a good guy. But when we're 0-5 and I might be hurt or I am not having a good season, how am I going to treat people? How am I going to treat the janitor? How am I going to treat my boss? How am I going to treat my family, my girlfriend? And that's a really big thing for me. I think that goes hand in hand with leadership. And that leads me to another one. I'm not good with memorizing all the words, but it talks about, you can tell a lot about a person in this life by how they treat someone that can do nothing for them. So if you meet someone and that someone can't do anything for me, nothing. It's not like I'm talking to them for money. I'm not talking to them to get exposure or whatever it might be. How I treat that person should dictate a lot about the type of person I am, because a lot of people in this world, they're only going to be nice to you or to somebody because they might want something from that person. On the other hand, there's a lot of great people and a lot of great humans and kind humans that treat people great no matter what. So those two things are really close to my heart and probably my favorite things to go by.
Thank you for joining the 2020 Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools Virtual Youth Summit. We hope you enjoyed our guest speakers. A special thank you to Kansas State Leadership School, Inclusive Zen Yoga, and Dalton Reisner for being a part of this summit. This Youth Summit allows your Unified Champion School program to check off the Inclusive Youth Leadership for the year.
Another fun way to get involved is through the 2021 Polar Plunge. Your school can fundraise for the Unified Champion School program in Special Olympics Kansas. Through a revenue share, we made it easy to get involved with the Polar Plunge School package. If you RSVP to this event, you have already signed up for the package. We can't wait for you to learn all about this opportunity and be frozen in time with the 2021 Polar Plunge.
What's next, Catherine? How can we start Unified Champion School at our school?
It's very simple. You can participate in all three components: whole school engagement, youth leadership, which would be this summit, and unified sports. To get started, you can set up a call with Special Olympics Kansas to start the steps of joining our movement. Also, each new school will receive funding to kickstart their program. Gracie, what is your favorite thing of being a part of a Unified Champion Schools?
My favorite part of Unified is basketball. I like playing against other schools.
Thank you for sharing, Gracie. Now, we hope you will join the movement and see you soon playing on the field. Thank you for joining us for the 2020 Virtual Youth Summit.
Bye!